Hey guys! This week we're going to make this flower pot. It's a self-watering flower pot. To make this project, you will need your bucket and sponge, your needle tool, your wooden knife tool, a rib that's a little harder, your soft red rib, sponge. You might need a sponge that's on a stick. It's not necessary. Calipers or a ruler, and your wire cutting tool. And don't forget your towels to stay clean. And let's get started. So take your clay. You need about 3.5 pounds, and you are going to center using the same method we did making the batter bowls. So the top third, middle third, and the bottom. Once centered, you're going to want to push it down into a sort of large flat tuna can shape, because we're going to be pulling this out. It's not a tall piece. We don't need it to be centered tall in the center. So I'm going to keep pushing it out to make sure that it's completely centered, because you do want this one to be centered, or you will have obvious really thick side, and it won't look as nice. But it doesn't need to be perfect. Just try to get it as centered as possible. Once centered, you're going to open up the center. Do not push all the way down. Leave about 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. And you're going to open this up to be about 1 inch to 2 inches of diameter. This first part is going to be the self-watering part. It's just a simple cylinder in the center of your piece. So you're going to open that up, and you're going to leave the clay that kind of pulls up. This is just going to make it easier to tell you where you can start to push down the remaining bits and leave the center part. So compress your rim, always compress. Remove that water out from the inside and compress the bottom there. And then we're going to be ready to push this out. So from where that lip is created, you're going to push down and pull towards yourself. So make sure you have a nice wet sponge. If your clay keeps sticking to the sponge, it's going to throw you off center. So keep adding water if you need it. So if you remember how to make plates, it's just pushing down and pulling towards you, moving slower than the wheel is spinning. If you move too fast, you will also throw your piece off center. Here you can see what it looks like from the top. Do you see this little amount of clay that I've got pushed in? I need to pull that part out so the bottom of the outside part is not, doesn't have too thick of a base. So I'm gonna pull that, I'm gonna continue to pull that part out and widen my piece so that it has, I'm trying to get close to about 10 inches, because you have to remember this, the size is going to shrink as it fires, but you're only going to take this piece to a cone 6. So it's not going to shrink more than 12%. So I'm going to continue to pull out that bottom, and then I will compress that outside rim and kind of pull it up. I'm not going to do all the pulls yet because I need to get that center part pulled up higher. It needs to be a good 2 or 3 inches taller than the top of your outside rim so that it's easy to fill with water. I'm going to stop pulling the outside wall now and work on the inside, the cylinder on the inside. I'm going to pull it to be about 5 inches tall. That way my outside wall can be about 3 inches tall so that I can fill it with quite a bit of dirt and plants. If you want a deeper pot, don't pull out your ring as far. You can now clean up the inner tube by taking your hard rib and just holding it on the outside, removing that slip, and this way you have a nice smooth wall. At this point, I need to remove the water from both inside portions of my piece, but I found when I was trying to get the inside part, I could not reach without opening it up too wide. So I'm going to use my sponge on a stick, and I will use that to get the water out. So with this, you need to make sure that you are not pushing too hard, because you can go straight through the bottom because you can't feel what you're doing. I'm going to pull the outside wall a little taller because I have enough clay to do so, and I think it will look a little nicer with the inner tube, the inner wall just about 2 inches taller than the outside wall. And now I'm going to measure for the lid that's going to sit on the center tube. So you're going to hold the calipers on the inside of the tube, and this side will show you the inside, and then the other side will show you how big the outside of your lid needs to be. So at this point, it's just finishing touches. Clean it up, compress your rims, and make everything look nice. Use your needle tool or your wooden knife tool, holding it at an angle, and you can just scrape the bottom part, and this will just help you to get your wire cutter under, easier. So stick this in front of the fan and we'll work on the lid. So the lid, you will need about a pound of clay. You actually really only need about half a pound of clay, but it's very hard to wedge that small amount. So I've got about a pound, and now I'm going to center it. Okay, so opening, it's just going to be the same as we did with the base. You're going to start at the center and you're going to pull it open kind of like how we do a cylinder. And you're going to open this part as wide as you need, that you measured with the caliper. So I'm going to hold the caliper on the outside of the ring because the outside wall of this ring is what's going to fit flush with the inside of the ring, the center tube of the actual planter. So once I get that, I'm just going to push that wall down, and the top of the lid is going to be flat. So it's really just making this part here to go inside the tube, and then the rest is just flat. And we'll cut to the size of the cylinder inside the planter. You don't need this to be tall, so I'm going to remove a lot. I don't want to add too much weight. I just want it to fit inside that center tube without it falling if you were to shift your planter around. Once you've compressed the rim and the inside and you've removed all the water, now you're just going to push the remaining clay down to the bat. And this we want to be flat. So I'm going to push it down, and then I'm actually going to get in there as much as I can to kind of create this like right angle. I find it's too difficult to do with my sponge, so I'm actually going to use my wooden knife tool and hold it straight down so the flat side is up against that cylinder that I've created, and I'm going to remove the clay that's kind of keeping it from being at a right angle. Get that excess clay off, and then I'm going to compress it down and smooth it down with my rib. And then I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to hold it under the base as if I were going to cut it off. And then I'm going to hold it, my needle tool straight down, and cut the excess off of what will hang over the center of the tube. Now you want to clean up those edges with the sponge. Don't want to have any of those nasty little boogers on there. Take your needle tool again, since you compressed your clay back down to the bat. This way you can put the wire cutter under, and this is the lid. So remove from the bat, or cut from the bat, put in front of the fan, and then once they're dry enough, you can put it on the bisque fire to be the bisque shelf to be fired. And this is the entire piece. So thanks for watching. This is just a quick 1-day project that I know you guys can get done in the new 2-hour class that's available. Thanks for watching. Bye.